Are you ready, Freddy? God, things are in my eyes. Okay, tell me when you're ready.
Mine won't stay.
Your bangs won't stay what?
Straight now they keep doing this huge colic I've never had before.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Julie and I'm from Learn to Play, and today is a Q&A, all daycare things related. So I have with me not only my sister Holly, but my full-time assistant. Hi Holly.
Hi.
Thanks for being a good sport. We are going to answer our most asked questions as far as having a home daycare, and we're going to give you a little behind the scenes of what it's really like to work in home daycare. I'm sure many of you watching this already know, and it's not easy. I'm just gonna be honest, folks, it's definitely not easy. So to get started, I'll give you a little bit of background about myself, and then Holly can do that as well. I opened my business about 2.5 years ago in June 2018. Prior to having a home daycare, I did work as a nurse. I still currently am a licensed nurse, but with COVID and everything, I'm just strictly doing the daycare right now. I was in the medical field for about 15 years, and then prior to that, I was in an actual child care facility for many years. Started back in 1996 when my youngest was 1.5 years. Telling my age here, telling my age.
I was like 12.
You were 12.
Maybe. I'd take a nap with them.
I'm like 20, no, just kidding. But the reason why I got into daycare was because I needed to work and I could bring my 2 girls with me. So it was a win-win situation. I fell in love with the profession. Over the years, even while I was working in the medical field, I always knew that I wanted to operate a daycare. And I thought, what better way to gain experience than to start a home daycare? Now, do I plan on doing home daycare forever? No. I'm hoping that within the next year or 2, I'm gonna have some plans in the works and I will move on to a center facility. Holly, why don't you share some of your daycare experience with us, or share a little bit about your background? Or
I started in daycare right after I graduated from high school at Kitty College, and I did that for a few years, and then I became a baker at Giant Eagle for about 7 years, but went back to being at the daycare with the kids.
And why do you think you kept going back to daycare?
Well, for one, being able to take my daughter there was easier.
I think a lot of people, that's a lot of reasons why actually people do home daycares, because most people have younger children when they do home daycare, and it's just, again, a win-win situation. I think I'm kind of the exception that I don't have young kids that I'm doing this, but it works out perfect right now with your daughter being with us during COVID and homeschooling. And what other positions have you had in facilities, like in daycare facilities, other than just a teacher?
I have been also in the kitchen as a cook.
Which one did you prefer, do you think, more? Or are they just...
I do, let's see, I don't mind the kitchen, a lot of freedom, and then I can go in all the rooms and see all the kids and
now
just visit with them and not have to deal with the other stuff.
What, parents? Oh, we're not going there yet, guys. When you were in the classroom, what ages did you work with?
6 weeks to school age.
Okay. And I think at one point we worked together in a daycare. Yeah. Yep, I worked with the infants and you worked with the toddlers right next to each other. So we've been intertwined all these years together. One of the most asked questions I get is how I started my daycare and what advice do I have for people looking to start their own daycare. And to be quite honest, there is a lot of planning that goes on behind the scenes. I started planning for it seriously about 3 years before I even started my home daycare. I started gathering materials. I started making things for my future daycare. I looked for a house in a city that I knew would accommodate the need for a home daycare, because I was living more in the city a couple of years ago, and I did make the move out to the suburbs knowing that home daycare is more popular out there. I picked this house for the setup. Now, if you're looking at doing something that you're already established in, that's, that works as well. I mean, not everyone has to go and like change their whole life around to start a home daycare, but definitely you need to plan, you know, and you need to be ready for it. I think that you don't have to spend a ton of money. You can definitely use the resources online, the free resources. If you watched any of my videos, you see that I love to thrift. I love going to Goodwills. We're always going to like garage sales and looking for stuff. You don't have to buy all brand new stuff. I know I get a lot of comments like your place is so big or your space is so big and you have so much of this and that. And to be honest, most of it is secondhand. And again, I've been doing it for 2.5 years and I started 3 years before that. So I have 5 years of collecting stuff. And after 5 years, you have a lot of stuff. I mean, we have so much stuff that we don't even use. We have like a whole closet.
I did see some stuff on Marketplace, but I didn't show you.
Why? Because you knew I'd buy it?
I just didn't know where to put it.
I'm like a little bit of a hoarder when it comes to daycare. Would you say that's a fair statement?
It's okay.
I know, it's all good fun. We're always looking for stuff for the kids. You know, as far as gaining clientele, when I first started, one of the mistakes I made was I accepted families that were expecting children. So I waited like a good 6 months for 3 of my enrollments to even start. Now that's okay if you were charging for those 6 months, which I didn't. I simply just charged a deposit. So when I think back to all the money that I lost over 6 months, it's definitely a learning lesson. So if you are gonna, you know, when you're starting out, don't think you just have to take any family. I think it's better to wait. But we've been blessed and lucky enough to have the same families the whole time. Like I said, I started in June of 2018. Holly came on board in November 2018. And we've had the same group. We just finally lost our first little girl, our first little baby a couple of months ago at the end of the summer. That was sad, you know, because we were with this child for the last 2 years and you do get attached to them and their families and, you know, their little personalities.
And a baby from the COVID laying off the parents.
Yes. Yes, speaking of COVID, we did shut down in March. Our state mandated that home daycares and daycares pretty much shut down. Holly did go and work for one of our families. Most of our families were able to work from home, but the one family wasn't. So Holly went and worked with them during the few months that we were closed. We reopened in June, I think, beginning of June, and all but 2 families came back. We were limited on the number of kids we could bring back in June, and then in August it went back to full capacity. So that family you're speaking of, we loved that child, and the parents unfortunately lost their job because of COVID, so they did not return. And then one of the families we just decided not to have back. So getting into another question, have we ever dealt with difficult parents?
Yes.
Yes, that family that we did not bring back was definitely a difficult family.
From the beginning.
From the beginning, definitely from the beginning. I'm not sure why we stuck it out for 2 years with them. I mean, you love the children. I think that's ultimately why we stuck it out with this family. But, you know, when you have difficult parents, it could be for many different reasons. Either they don't respect you as a provider, they don't respect your time, they pick up late. This family was notorious every day picking up late. Some families we've had tried to drop off before the daycare even opens. Like the one family, it was like an hour before we were even opening, they were banging on my door. We have families that had not paid on time. That's kind of an issue. And I need to be more strict about enforcing a late payment, which I have never done, and I really should.
Sometimes they don't even say anything.
No, they're just like,
the next week.
Yeah, they're like, oh, by the way, on Monday, like, here's your money. And it's like, I always want to say, like, what if you went to work on a Friday and your paycheck just wasn't there and your boss was just like, hey, no big deal, you're not getting paid this week. So I think that's kind of a respect issue that we run across in this field with parents. I feel like at a center, at a facility, it may not be as bad because I don't know if they would enforce it more. You know, when you're working in a home daycare.
The one daycare I worked at, there was a late fee if it wasn't there by like 5 p.m. on Friday.
And they did enforce it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely need to do that. I need to enforce that. We've had issues where, you know, supplies aren't being brought in, or we've had issues where if the child is acting up, and very rarely have we ever sent anyone home, but last year I was out of town and a child needed to be sent home for behavioral issues, and when the parent picked up, they were irate, they were demeaning, they we're just not nice about it
They
at
don't want
all.
to accept. They just don't want. They're just in denial. I think don't want to accept their kid could do that.
Yeah. And so we should have terminated care
And
then.
other parents we have apologized to the other ones right away if their child.
Yeah, most of our parents are definitely pretty good about, like, if there's an issue, if we had biting in the daycare, that's a difficult one to overcome, I think, because they're so little. It's different, I think, if they were like toddlers biting, but we had infants biting, and you try several different methods to get them to stop, and knock on wood, we really don't have any biters right now, because it's very stressful when you have biters.
Yeah.
It's definitely, stressful with that.
So then the parents think you're not watching them.
Yeah. And then literally you could be holding them and they'll just turn their head and, bite another child. So
Or you.
Or you. Or you. Let me see some other questions here. Do we use a curriculum? Yes, we do. We use Mother Goose. We started a preschool program this past fall. And to be honest, that was kind of to keep the families that we have, because their children are getting older. And I knew if I didn't implement a preschool program that they would probably go elsewhere. Now, given COVID may have saved us a little bit, that they're, maybe they don't want their child in an actual daycare setting, but I'm very pleased with doing the preschool program, how it's been going so far. When I initially opened my home daycare, I always thought I would do preschool from the get-go. A majority of my materials were actually geared towards a preschool program. So I was fortunate enough to already have many supplies needed. I think the kids like it.
I like having it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard for me to come up with stuff for every day.
Yeah, it's definitely nice when we only have to add something here or there.
Yeah.
That everything is, working out.
That one has the different age groups you can order.
Yeah. We're using, like I said, Mother Goose, and we were doing the preschool, which I think is 3 to 5, and we switched back to toddler, like 18 months to 3, and I think that fits our group better.
Although the parent that wants preschool doesn't show up on time.
Oh, smack.
Sorry.
You guys, we're just gonna keep it real here. I'm never gonna sugarcoat this job. We obviously love this job. I think we have fun working together with this job.
Except for always being able to eat.
Always being up for us.
Yeah.
Speaking of eating, let's talk about meal plans. Now, I used to be very good. I used to do a weekly meal prep or meal plan, and definitely steered away from that. I think just because being closed for a couple of months and coming back over the summer, it was very relaxed when we came back over the summer, and I need to get back into that because it keeps us organized. It keeps me on track financially for food. But,
It's just a smorgasbord now.
It is just like, whatever's in the fridge. No, we always serve a fruit and a vegetable and a protein. Don't get us wrong with that. Do you prefer having an actual meal plan? Do you like?
Because it doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't matter.
I guess it's easier for you for shopping, but I don't care.
I mean, in our kids, one time we can give them something, they'll all eat it, and then we'll have it like 2 weeks later, and no one will eat it. That's kind of frustrating. But we try not to make several different meals. Like, it's kind of, this is what lunch is. I know that may seem harsh to some people, but I feel like if we always catered and did 2 or 3 different choices each day for lunch, it would just be a waste, honestly, of food. So the kids, for the most part, they're pretty good about eating. We do transition them to like a table right around 2 years of age. Right now we have a 19-month-old. Some foods we'll give her at the table. A majority of the time though, we still feed her in a high chair. So anywhere between like 18 months and 2 years of age, we'll put them at the table with the other kids. All right, what do you think is the craziest time of the day? Is it pick up, drop off? Like, what would you say?
That's a tough one. Maybe pick up.
Pick up? Just because they don't want to listen? I think they're wound up from the day. They're ready to go,
And
but
drop
then
off. The boys yell at each other, so
Yeah.
who knows?
we're very boy heavy right now. We are very, very boy heavy, which we've kind of had to rearrange our setup. We've had to bring out different toys, introduce different activities, because their attention span is not as great, I think, as girls. Would you agree with that?
I think so. Just tattling.
and the roughhousing, and yeah. So I feel bad for the little girls that we have right now because
I don't think they care.
You don't think they care? What ages do we have? So right now, I think our youngest is about 4.5 months, and the oldest is almost 4. So from 4 to 4, we have a couple of 2-year-olds, a couple of 3-year-olds, 2 babies. No, 3 babies.
3 babies.
3 babies. We have 9 kids total. We have 6 full-time and 3 part-time. Very rarely do we have all 9 in one day. Usually we have between 7 and 8.
Maybe on a holiday.
Yeah, on a holiday, on a party. Another question I get is how do we handle birthdays and parties? So I love parties. I love celebrating holidays. This year for Christmas, unfortunately, we're not going to be doing Santa. Usually we do Santa for Christmas, but just with COVID, our dad plays Santa and he's on the older side. So I decided not even to go there. But we always, we do a holiday, Halloween party. We do Valentine's party. Holly is notorious for always looking up wacky holidays. So we add those to our little calendar as well.
Holidays.
Like, there's brown bag paper lunch day, and we'll serve the kids lunch on a brown paper bag. I love things like that. I think the kids.
Today was. I can't remember.
Was today? What was? Last week was like National Cookie Day. It's always National something. I swear. And I feel like it's always National Donut Day for some reason. I feel like how many?
Pet Day.
Yes, there's a lot of different national days.
And then I buy expensive cookies and no one eats them.
Or donuts.
Or donuts. $3 donuts.
They don't eat them. They don't care. They look nice though. So
They look nice for the pictures.
Any consolation. Yes. For the children's birthdays, we usually do a small party. We do buy birthday gifts, keep it around like $20, $10, $20. And same thing goes for Christmas. I think this year I spent probably about $18 to $20 per child for Christmas. We supply like the dessert. We always do like a special lunch. If we know like if a child loves Chinese or if they love pizza, we always try to have like their favorite lunch. And usually for any other kind of like major like holiday parties, we usually do like a pizza party. Our first year we did a carnival theme party for our 1-year anniversary, and we invited all the families to come over and participate with that. And then this past year, actually it was just like a month or 2 ago, we went to an apple orchard, and we did our annual party there because it was outdoors and everyone, we all wore masks, and it just kind of worked out that we didn't have it at the house this year, that we actually went somewhere. So I'm often asked, how do I have time to either do the backdrops or do, the prep work for the daycare? And I'm going to be honest, I do a lot of it at night, on the weekends. I'm always doing it. I think it'd be a little different if I had my own children at home, if I had little ones. But seeing that it's just my husband and I, we don't have a lot going on anyway. So to prep for the week or to grocery shop or to rearrange, it's no big deal. As far as vacations and days off for Holly and myself, we do get 2 weeks per year paid, and then we get 5 personal days that the parents pay, and then
5 personal days, dang.
Well, like how we're like off for like the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh, those are okay.
Yeah. What?
Tell the parent what day you want.
As far as the parents go and the families go, they get 1 week half pay, and if they take any additional weeks, then it would be full pay. We do ask them for at least a month's notice when they're taking vacation. I typically let the parents know in January when we are going to take off. It's worked out to where we've been taking off like a week in July and then the week at Christmas. I know some providers take off the whole week of Christmas and New Year's. I would love to do that. A lot of providers, they'll close down. They almost follow like a school schedule.
Oh, like 2 weeks.
Yeah, they'll take like 2 weeks. I mean, I guess if our parents wanted to pay us for 2 weeks, that would be great.
They can't handle their kids for 2 weeks.
No. I swear on Monday, it's like starting over every week. We get them back on Monday, and yeah, it's like starting over, definitely. Let's talk about kind of funny things, like mishaps. Just different stories. We have a lot of diaper stories. Diaper stories. So we had a child who went home and Well, how did we even, did the parent call us? What happened with this? Or did they text
Maybe
us?
told us the next day, or text us maybe.
But they got home and they realized, like, my child doesn't have a diaper on. Now, this
no
child,
diaper on.
no diaper on. But he was like, the child was like 2.5 when this happened. And then
He must have took it off.
And then when they were going to change him for bed, they found the diaper wrapped around his ankle. It was like in his sweatpants. So it was kind of funny. It was like a little funny story.
And then last week, a child went home with a diaper 3 sizes too small, which I could have done.
Twice.
Think it was
2
bad.
2 days in a row.
With his brother's diaper, who's like 4 months.
And if you see, I'm going to insert a clip here of our changing station. I'm not really sure how this happened because they don't share bins for their diapers.
I think the dad did it.
The 2 brothers aren't even by each other their bins. So we're not sure about that one. We're not sure if we actually, if that happened with us or not. But you gotta love like the mishaps. So just,
I like what the kids talk about at home, what happens.
they'll rat their parents out. Oh yeah.
My favorite's with the Lego people. I told you it's no time for kissing, time for bed. No time to kiss, time to sleep.
Oh yeah, you often wonder, what do they say about us when they get home? We've had parents, I think, in the past, like, I think we've had people like ask us, like, did this happen or this happen? Because their child like went home and said something crazy, like,
no,
you know, I don't know. I guess if they're telling us stories about their parents, they're probably telling their parents' story about us.
As far as they still come back.
The child? The parents bring it back? Why?
I don't know, I'm just playing. If they tell stories, sometimes they do, and the parents text us.
Yeah.
But then we clear it up.
Yeah.
Because the boys are starting to lie a lot.
They are. They're so mean to one another. Like every morning there's a group of them, and then the last boy will arrive. They just go after, like, you can't sit here, don't steal our food. And these are like 2-year-olds. Like, where do you get this from?
And the one headbutts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen a headbutter in 12 years or whatever I've worked.
I definitely think it's different working in a home center as opposed to like a facility. I feel like you get to know the children so much more, and like I feel like when I've worked in daycare settings, like it was all like, oh, the kids are so cute, blah blah blah, we're leaving for the day. I think here, like, you really, like, I think because you are with them more intimately for like 10 plus hours a day, that you definitely get to know their personalities. You know when someone's even tattling, who they're going to tattle about before they even say a name. You already know what's happening. So would you agree? Or
yeah, I like when you can understand their gibber jabber.
Mm-hmm.
No one else can. It's kind of cute.
Yeah.
You know
and
what they're saying.
And when they had their first milestones, when they roll over, we always like let the parents know. Hallie especially has a great relationship with our parents. We'll always text them pictures. We do have like a Facebook page for our parents. We post daily, several times a day on there. We did, this past November, we did an election. I thought that was cute.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tried to like incorporate things like that. I mean, we by no means got political, although we did ask the one child, Trump or Biden? Trump. So when we told the parents, they were like, we've never even said that word in our house before. So, and then the other child was like, Biden, like, so that was kind of funny. So we did this, you know, presidential election, and I'll insert some clips here, but we had them, what was it, like Disney, or it was, who was it? Was it Mickey Mouse versus like Paw Patrol? Like they had to vote for, like, I guess the daycare mascot instead of like the president.
And their favorite lunch.
Their favorite lunch they voted for. They voted for their favorite snack. And it turned out really cute. My niece, Hallie's daughter, like did little interviews with them. So during the day on our Facebook page, we had little stories, and it was like, you know, like a live update of how the election's going, and I thought it was fun.
We should have had music in the background, that one. Dun, 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 dun,
we should have.
dun,
We
dun,
definitely
dun.
should have. And they voted, and they had like I voted stickers on, and so we always try to do things like that. And I think the parents really appreciated us doing that. And I think that's what makes us stand out amongst other places, because every family that I've ever had come and tour is just blown away. And I do take a lot of pride in that because I've worked very hard for this. And I'm definitely not one to toot my own horn or brag, but it makes me feel really great knowing that when people see the setup, they see, you know, the care that we give, they see that extra mile, even if sometimes we feel like it's not totally appreciated, I would say.
Yeah.
But
That's always sad.
I know that, you know, no one else is doing that. And I know that no other home daycare in the area is doing what we're doing. And so I take pride in that, whether or not we always get the recognition that we feel that we deserve sometimes. But I love doing those extra.
At least the kids are happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We definitely, you know, in the summertime, I'm very themed based. I'm very play based. I feel like any kid could go home and sit in front of a TV or sit in front of an iPad. So here I try to give them the tools that they don't have, like the toys they don't have, the experiences that they may not necessarily have at home, because we don't really watch too much TV here. It's pretty much at like drop off. Sometimes we'll do, like right now we're doing Christmas around the world, and so last week we did Italy, and so we were like wondering, like, kind of, you know, we were curious about the Italy Christmas traditions, and so we had went on YouTube and we had found a couple of things that the kids watch. But yeah, unless it's like a special day, we really don't watch, because they would watch TV all day. They would if we did that, don't you think?
Some of them.
So speaking of little minds, they also are very observant, we've noticed over the last couple of years. It's funny because, like we said, they'll tell us funny stories about home. And, you know, there's been occasions where I may have been like, what the hell? Like, not towards the kids, but talking in general, like on the phone or this or that. And they'll repeat it. And you're like, oh no. Like, don't go home and say that. Guys, again, I'm not going to sugarcoat and act like we are perfect. I feel like this is real life.
My mom says that.
The one little boy's like, my mommy says that.
I'm trying to think of what movie we were watching. I think Monster House, maybe, when the boy got ding dong ditched and the one boy asked, what's ding dong tits?
Like, they're like, a lot of them can't pronounce.
They can't pronounce D.
The D.
C too. C, they can't pronounce either.
What was it when
ding dong tits?
What did the one little child say when I had the camper in the driveway? Remember his name? Hopefully you watched my vintage camper video that was on this past weekend, but originally I had that camper in my driveway for a couple of days. But remember the one little boy got dropped off in the morning? Yeah, and he was like, my daddy, like, I don't know, he said something crazy, like the dad was like, what is this? Like, it was so silly. Oh my gosh, so funny. What gets us through the day? Like, obviously everyone has good days, everyone has bad days. What helps you get through the end of the day?
Helps me get through the day?
Yeah, like if we're having a bad day here, like a stressful day, or
I don't know, maybe watching something silly on TV when I'm home, like get my mind off of it.
Yeah, she dreams a lot about the kids, so you're constantly having dreams about these kids. Very rarely do I.
And their diapers need to be changed.
Always about the
Get
diapers.
there.
Back to the diaper situation. Yeah, I mean, it's such a rewarding job, but it is, you know, by Friday, you're tired. You know, there is, I think they call it like daycare burnout. I would totally agree with that. So I'm going to wrap it up with a couple of extra tips that I have. Always have the parents pay a week ahead. Definitely. Because when they do forget to pay you on a Friday and come strolling in on a Monday, it makes it a little bit easier knowing that at least you were already paid for that week before. So majority of our parents do pay a week ahead. Some of them pay a month ahead. I definitely wouldn't watch the children all week and then wait for them to pay me at the end of the week, because they could ditch you and leave. And
is that what the one?
We had one child, yes, they were notorious for not paying on time, and then I would let them go 2 or 3 weeks, and ultimately that child I just had to terminate, because, and I felt so bad because we loved the child. It had nothing to do with the child, but you can't keep paying late. You can't keep, you know, showing up whenever you want to show up. And so definitely one of my biggest tips is to make sure you get paid ahead of time. And I know a lot of providers do work solo. So we are fortunate enough to have two of us here. I think that definitely helps throughout the day. If you can have an assistant, even if it was just part-time for a couple of hours, I think that helps a lot. I think having, you know, being prepared, again, it goes back to doing meal plans, being prepared for the year, you know, sitting down the end of December, the beginning of January, and planning your year out, both financially and just like work-wise. You know, you definitely want to keep a budget. You want to stay on a budget. I do have a weekly budget for groceries that I follow, and I do have a monthly budget as far as like curriculum and supplies go that I try to follow as well. So budget. I'm often asked how to get enrollment or how to start up your enrollment. At the beginning, I did flyers. I got not one response from them. So then I went on to Facebook. There's many like mommy sites for different cities. I'm sure your city probably has one. I started advertising on there, and that's where I got the majority of my families. Now I get a lot of referrals. I get a lot of word of mouth. But it is hard, you know, and I think right now with COVID, anyone starting out, you know, this is a tough time right now, because even for us veterans who have been doing it for a couple of years or 30 years, we've lost families from COVID. It's hard to gain new enrollment from COVID. So it's definitely a challenging year as far as that goes, but don't let that discourage you. Wait for the right families, even if you only have a couple. At the beginning, I still was working as a nurse because I only had 2 or 3 kids, I think, when I initially opened for like 2 months. And so if you do have a side job that you can maintain, or you know, financially, maybe before you even open your daycare, save up for a couple of months knowing that you may only have 1, 2, 3 kids at the beginning. And don't let that discourage you from, you know, waiting for the right families. I think, because I think that one family in particular, we, you know, you hold on to them too because you don't want to lose the money. And sometimes it's just the money's not worth it. It's, you know, sometimes you just gotta know when to cut that tie.
Especially when they give you used Christmas gifts that they got.
She is so salty. She is salty.
It's not about the gifts.
It's not about the gifts. Never. All right, guys. I think that is gonna wrap it up. Thank you, Holly. Thank you for joining me and making your YouTube debut.
Scary.
You're scared? Were you nervous?
Yeah.
She was nervous.
My hands are under my legs.
Well, you know, for the majority of my videos, I was never in. I just narrated them, I want to say. And I often got asked, why am I not in my own videos? Because it is nerve-wracking if you're not someone comfortable in front of the camera. But I've been trying to get out of my shell. So my last few videos, I did take a break from YouTube. I had a lot of people ask me, where did I go? Where have I been? You know, and the reality is that I feel awkward being in them. I don't know. I'm no expert. I'm no expert at making videos. So, you know, the fact that anyone watches them is fine with me. So with that being said, if you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you, Holly. Woo woo. And thanks everyone for watching.